Before we start today's video, I will tonight at 9:30 PM GMT be streaming on the Cthulhu-Kin and Friends show. As Trupp's LP is having dental surgery, it will just be me doing a political recap over the last 7 days. Yay. Link below. The subject of today's video, now that I've gotten my little announcement out of the way, centres around what I call the ultimate betrayal of a parent. Now I have used this title for a video before, where a German couple were jailed for selling their son to paedophiles on the dark net, which had led me to believe that possibly I had covered this subject before, but as it turns out I haven't. There was another video I did called Sometimes the Sentence Doesn't Match the Nature of the Crime, which is eerily familiar, and I will link both videos that I am referencing below. The case, however, was reported much like yesterday's article on the Portsmouth News website, where a depraved mother who plotted to rape her baby and daughter is jailed alongside her twisted lover who abused the children. I'm not sure how many ways I can repeat. This is one of the ultimate betrayals of a parent, and your time in prison is going to be remarkably uncomfortable for you, because sex offenders are the lowest of the low, but, and I've said this many times, beneath those regular, as we'll call them, sex offenders, although let's face it, none of it's regular, below them, their bitch, everyone's bitch, are the parents who abuse their children, betray them in such a way they would try and give them to other people, arrange to have them abused. It is twisted, vile, and dark in a way I don't want to ever think about. I don't understand the mentality someone has where they could ever conceive of having a child and then deciding that child deserves to suffer. That is wrong. Something in this article I did notice, to get back on track and not to get too annoyed, which, if it isn't obvious, I am quite irritated by this. Something I noticed in this article is that the mother, even though she has been sentenced, she has been jailed for a considerably lengthy term. Much like yesterday's, I doubt anyone would truly accept the sentence she received being enough. But as she has been convicted, there is a problem. To protect the identities of the children involved, she herself and the man in question can't be named. They cannot be shamed. They have been given anonymity by proxy, which is one of the saddest states of affairs ever. Not that I'm advocating for moral outrage hysteria or that kind of village justice you see, or social justice in the form of villages breaking into prisons and removing the sex offender, stripping them, beating them, and basically murdering. No, I'm not advocating for that, and I know there are videos of this on YouTube, because people have actually linked it to me. I will no longer be answering my YouTube messages because of this. I don't like seeing dead bodies. Until 2020, everyone, no lives matter. But because of the children, the mother can't face the wrath of the public, and I think to an extent she should. When she gets to prison, I would not be surprised if she was placed in administrative segregation, or ADSEG, or, once completing her jail term, granted a new identity, which wouldn't surprise me. We do like to protect the whammons, so much so that this article references actually an interesting little argument about the sentencing gap, which we will get to momentarily. Portsmouth Crown Court heard the children's mother joined her lover in the systematic sexual abuse of the little boy and girl over 4 months, planning the twisted crimes over 12,400 WhatsApp messages. That's pretty damning evidence, I'm just going to say now, and also one of the stupidest ways of communicating with somebody that you intend to sexually abuse someone. You've got more chance of being discreet with a carrier pigeon. One sick message between the pair who are in their 30s and live in the Portsmouth area, used to live in the Portsmouth area, they have been jailed, said, "I love pushing boundaries with you." I'd have to see the rest of the messages to understand whether the context is in reference to abusing the kids, or whether you've taken something that's possibly not referencing that at all to make a rather sensationalist point. Indecent photographs seized by police were among the worst images an experienced child abuse investigator has ever seen. I don't envy that person for that job, and I can understand if they want to retire now and possibly seek medical help and get a neuralizer. Over the 4-month period, their crimes escalated with the mother force-feeding the older child a sleeping tablet so abuse could be carried out. I really hope that neither child ever remembers any of this when they're older. Children should grow up innocent. They shouldn't be forced into things. They need to understand what they're doing. There are those that advocate for child pornography, child sex. You keep advocating for it, citing your supposedly peer-reviewed studies, most of which come from people who have actually been absolutely flayed by most academics. The part that really sickens me is that you force-fed them a sleeping tablet. I wouldn't recommend sleeping tablets to children in the first place, because that will lead to inevitable health problems as the child gets older, especially as you two, believing you're edgy boys, were escalating your sexual desires upon those who were unable to understand what you were doing, why you were doing it, and undoubtedly causing them suffering, pain and agony. At 4 months, are you out of your fucking mind? We've now reached the part about the sentencing, and we're going to now explain the sentencing gap that's going to crop up. So, sentencing. Judge Timothy QC jailed the mother for 22 years and her lover for 25 years, with a 3-year extended sentence. I would argue she should be sentenced to 25 years. Somebody mentioned in a comment yesterday that they didn't understand why life was 25 years. I personally don't know why it is either, so I'm going to Google it. Okay, so after going through many different sources, most of which American, there was a question asked and answered where somebody said life imprisonment in most democracies has a set time limit to give the prisoners a reason to behave well in the prisons. The time limit varies greatly depending on the country and or state, so I guess it is entirely subjective and annoying. But back to the sentencing gap, because the parole board will decide when they can be released, but she must serve half, or 11 years, and he must serve 2/3 of his custodial term. Understandably, you wouldn't want him anywhere near the children, but as she is the biological mother, there is a risk she may well be introduced back into those children's lives when they are older, totally at that point, for the most part, unaware of what happened to them. Based on brain development, it's highly likely they will forget. We don't know where the children are at this point. And based on the track record of some rather heinous county councils wanting to introduce a rapist back into the child's life, cough, Rotherham, cough, one must assume that the mother in this case will be afforded similar freedoms. I would hope they were put up for adoption and sent to a loving family far, far away. Might I recommend somewhere in the north, since Portsmouth is the far south, with an injunction placed upon her, preventing her from ever locating those children ever again. Now, as it says in the article, the reporting restrictions ban the naming of the children, and the news has chosen not to publish the defendants' names so the true nature of crimes can be detailed. It's nice to see, for once, that the media has a level of integrity to protect the children for once. It's quite nice to see that. Although, I could offer a solution. Remove all her social media presence, change her biological name, and then put that name and face out there. Erase everything. Although that isn't entirely 100% foolproof, I know. I'm not an ideas man, I'm just trying to come up with ideas. So I can point and go, shame, you're going to get fisted by a lot of people, you filthy, filthy traitor. In my world, we deal with heretics, courtesy of exterminatus. Just saying. Addressing the pair, the judge said, unsuccessful attempts were made to rape the girl after drugging her. I'm also satisfied that the rapes would have begun within a matter of days if the phone was not found. The rape of each child would not have been a single rape. Potentially, in your case, the children would have been the victims of repeated rapes over a protracted period of time. The judge ruled the mother's lover has a perverted sexual predilection for the children of the youngest age, ruling he posed a danger to the public, hence the longer sentence, although I would argue the mother is equally a danger to the public and to those she loves. Quotes, loves. At a trial, jurors unanimously convicted the pair of 2 charges of conspiring to rape a child, 2 of assaulting a child by penetration, and 1 charge of administering a substance with intent. The mother admitted 3 charges of taking indecent images, 3 for distributing images, 4 counts of making indecent images, and 1 of having extreme pornography. She was found guilty of 5 charges of sexual assault of a child. If they're her children, isn't that incest? Along with sexual assault of a child. The man, however, denies carrying out any abuse. and the mother claims she was led on by him and mentally unwell. The mental card. Imagine my shock. Much like yesterday's, I am keen to know what everyone here thinks about what has happened with this mother, as I am sure many of you, like myself, reserve a special level of disdain, perhaps hatred. I am keen to see how you would best express this in the comments below, so feel free to do that. I can't wait to read those. Usually quite creative on the how one will execute. Anyway, I hope everyone has a lovely Thursday, and thank you all for listening.